Aloha, everyone. Welcome back to Roots of the Barbering YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us. I'm MJ, and about to bring on my partner in crime, Gio. Gio, are you there?
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Hey, there's the man. There's the man. There's the man. Yeah,
I
good to
do
see
it.
you, brother.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, welcome back, everyone, to Gio and I's little project here. Thank you for those that have already hit the subscribe button. And if you haven't already and you're a fan of traditional barbering or just general information on and knowledge on the barbering industry, go ahead and click the subscribe now.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yes, sir.
Today we will be talking about uh, a subject that's been talked about for the last year. Yeah, it's still affecting us today. Is COVID-19 pandemic and the effects that it continues to have on the trade of barbering specifically. I'm here in California, Gio's over there in Rotterdam, and two different parts of the world, and both our businesses have suffered the exact same trials and tribulations over the last year. So interesting to talk about that, and hopefully some of the information we share will help some of you that are either closed now because of the pandemic or have been fortunate to reopen, but are still struggling to figure out how to bounce back after all of this craziness. So, Gio, like, how are you guys? You guys are in your second, third shutdown now,
Yeah.
right?
Um, First one was okay, because it
Yeah.
was also during the good weather in the summer,
Mm,
Started in March. No,
yep.
yeah,
March.
March,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And it ended in June, something like 'cause
Okay.
I was 9 weeks at home and it was
Yeah.
okay, we could survive. We got
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
money and everything. I had some savings and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So I could manage. But now
Yeah.
during this time, a lot of people go nuts, right?
Yeah.
Because it's
When did you
dark.
guys close down? Was it right before Christmas or right after
Yeah, it was
Christmas?
before Christmas. It was yeah, it was beginning this November,
Okay.
beginning December that they lock it down. And
Yeah.
we're almost 3 months in, and everybody's getting tired of it right now. And I understand every opinion from the people that are having mental health issues
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
owners, shop owners. Doesn't matter what kind of sector you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
taking a lot, and most of the
Yeah.
time, I think like it's all a political game. That's how I see it, And
Yeah.
you may say it isn't, but everything
Yeah.
has to do with money, right? And
Yeah.
nowadays, not a lot of people get a lot of money. I'm fortunate that I
Yeah.
have some support and I had my savings, but
Yeah.
I cannot do this again for a third time,
Yeah. I
and
know.
I'm
Yeah.
through, right?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
collected, saved a lot of money
Yeah.
for this pandemic. Yeah, it was hardcore, but I got my hobbies. I make
Yeah. Yeah.
music. I
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I got my dogs. I got my plants and
Yeah.
my bonsais and
Yeah.
everything. So I will get through the time. I read books and
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and whatever. But
Yeah.
there's a lot of people they feel trapped, right? But
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think mainly, I think you should re-interact with yourself.
Yeah.
And try
Yeah.
to find out who is you, not
Yeah.
what other people do, but who is you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, it was a bit easier because everything that I built up, the shop, the customers, my own
Yeah.
life, before this, I didn't had a lot, I had to earn
Yeah.
everything. I started from the bottom, man, with
Yeah.
everything. And my family didn't had not a lot of money, and my life was roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
Uh, People that don't know,
Yeah.
I lived on the streets. I didn't have no home.
Yeah.
I was on drugs
Yeah.
and everything, so
Yeah.
I had a pretty much
Yeah.
rough life, man. But that's just one of a story of many stories, right?
Yeah.
But I always kept myself in a position that I thought like I cannot lose hope, man.
Yeah,
Or my own self, right? And I
yeah,
think with this pandemic, especially with social media and everything, everybody's so into this trap of like promoting themselves, doing all the things. They intend to forget to live as well.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think that's the hardest thing.
Well,
And
I think you make a good point. We've all in all different ways. Everyone has had to manage their time off, time away from
mm,
work, and sort of manage their finances differently. And I have felt that the last year that it hopefully has helped us all put things into perspective of what really is important,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, and for us in the barbering, since we're this is all about barbering. This video channel is about barbering. Is that like we can get so consumed as barbers with going to the shop, making some money, and when the money's good, barbers tend to have they live a pretty, and they live a good
mm,
life. They get their hobbies,
yeah, yeah,
all these things, but take that away, and where are most of us? Where will the joy and fulfillment come when the shop is not there, your coworkers are not there, you're not cutting hair, you're not seeing clients, and you're not making money? Is it in your family? Is it in your hobbies, like you're able to do,
yeah.
right? Are you able to spend more time with your children? Are you spending more time like finding some hobbies? Like I'm fortunate. I'm not a very outdoorsy person. I'm usually a pretty homebody, so throughout the pandemic, I was usually just mostly at home watching movies, but I'm content at home. I don't feel trapped at home. Well, I'll go do some stuff on social media, or I might go for a walk around the block. But I've always been able to maintain some balance because of, like you said, you were able to save money
Mm.
over these years, so you had some savings. So maybe this is an eye-opening time, or has been for folks, for barbers in our industry that haven't saved money but have made really good money, right?
Yep.
Um, Maybe they've took for granted how like their own health, and so now that they're not at the shop and they don't have somewhere to go for the day, they're stuck at home. They're like, I'm lost without that, so
Mm,
I'm just going to stay at home.
mm.
And then the longer you prolong yourself at home, yeah, depression sets in, and sadness sets in, and complacency sets in. So I think what you were saying about having hobbies, um, and just kind of finding yourself and finding some purpose outside of like just barbering, right?
Of course, man.
Uh,
And the thing is also for me, money is not important. Of course,
yeah,
everybody's thinking like, "Oh, my bills and everything,"
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
what's not there? Eh,
yeah,
there ain't. Yeah, you cannot do anything about it. But
yeah, yeah,
I always knew that before I opened my shop, I always that I need to put some money aside. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
doesn't always have to be a lot, but every
yeah,
saving is a saving, even if it's a
yeah.
dollar or $5 a day or €5.
Right,
That
right.
€5 that multiplies by 7 in a week multiplies by 4 and then by 12. So
Yeah.
every penny, dime, or whatever is always good. I think.
Yeah, even just something as simple as like, because a lot of people were exposed for not having sort of a savings, right?
Mm,
And I've seen some Instagram personality barbers that, by the lifestyle that they showed pre-pandemic, you would have thought that they would have had their financial stuff taken care of,
yep,
right? Because they just like they lived so lavishly, and then the pandemic hit, and then it didn't take too long for some of them to post about how they needed like a GoFundMe account, or that
exactly,
they
man.
had to
Yeah,
cut hair in their
yeah,
garage,
yeah,
or else they wouldn't make ends meet. So I think the reality that and for our trade, if people weren't aware or conscious of it, like the reality versus Instagram versus like there is a need to remain humble through the good and the bad, because if you're not, um yeah, what good is it, the followers and the
yeah,
popularity,
man.
if you can't take care of your own, right? So I was always telling my barbers, and I've posted on Instagram a couple times about, like, when times are good again, if you're not open, maybe this is something you can do when you do reopen. And if you're reopen but you don't do it, maybe you can incorporate it. It's like, take even just the first haircut of your day, right? And put that aside, right? first haircut plus the tip. Just that first one, just know that that one's going to go to my savings. And every day you just take that amount and you put it away and put it away. Times a week, times 4 weeks, times 52 weeks a year. That's going to amount up to more savings than most people have had before the pandemic,
Exactly,
right?
man.
So, and that's just a simple thing, if you commit to just putting something aside, because most guys, if or girls as barbers, even if you were to do the bottom math of like, $20 haircut plus $5 tip, that's $25, right? I mean, you would spend $25 at a Starbucks or getting fast food lunch somewhere, right?
Yeah, man.
So, you
I had to with
uh,
my wife. I just I trimmed a lot of things down. I canceled
yeah,
a couple of how do you say that?
subscriptions and stuff.
Subscriptions and all that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. We just food for us is important. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
the dog needs
yeah,
need to have food. I got two big dogs. They
yeah,
need to have food,
yeah,
and we need to have food.
yeah,
But what we
yeah,
get for food is not that luxury no more than we had
yeah,
before. And sometimes we just
yeah.
eat 2 3 days the same thing. But
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
for me,
yeah.
it's not a burden. For me, it's kind of
No,
like it's an
no,
attitude thing, right?
no.
I don't
Yeah,
need no flashy rings, no flashy
no.
car or whatever. I don't care for that at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah,
But what
yeah,
I do
yeah,
care is my family, my friend
yeah,
I have, and my own health, right?
yeah,
And my employers are the most important thing that I got,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
I see that a lot of people complaining, but here's the thing, and this is my opinion, and some people
yeah,
may agree or disagree with me, but I don't
yeah,
care because this is my opinion. I always say,
yeah,
if you got a job, you don't
yeah,
have nothing to complain because
yeah,
everything
yeah,
that you get from your boss,
yeah,
it's your boss problem, right? So
yeah, yeah,
anybody that has an employment or anything, they get their
yeah,
money. The only thing is
yeah,
that they need to have is your sanity,
yeah,
And
yeah,
the thing is you have to maintain focused on your sanities and reinvent yourself, right?
yeah,
Because it's a different thing. Not a lot
yeah,
of people are used to not having things, right?
yeah,
So some hobbies are social contacts or this and that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
I think for now, this is a good
yeah,
exercise. Well,
yeah,
because do you have when you don't got nothing? A lot of people see,
yeah, yeah,
damn, I ain't got nothing around me, man. I got no friend, no family, no what, no this
yeah,
or
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah,
lonely, you
yeah,
know? And for me, I've been used to that. I've chose for
yeah,
it in some things,
yeah,
but I really do appreciate when I see my family and
yeah,
friends that I can see
yeah,
will meet. Or
yeah,
it isn't by great numbers, but
yeah,
at least we can. I have a friend that lives in California, and now he's back at Salt Lake City. He's a tattoo
yeah,
artist, but we call on Mondays, man.
yeah, yeah,
He and his
yeah,
wife and his kids.
yeah,
We just FaceTime, that's also a bit
yeah,
of contact. I don't have
yeah,
to feel the person. What we do
yeah,
is also contact. I got
yeah,
to know you
yeah,
even better right now, how you
yeah,
think about
yeah,
things just by doing this.
yeah. Yeah,
Your
this came about
opinions.
because we had the time to do it because of the
Exactly.
pandemic.
And I think
I think that
that's,
was the first time we even talked like face to face. I mean, we,
yeah,
we had sent like messages through Instagram and a
yeah, yeah,
couple of
yeah,
video
yeah.
messages, but like to actually have a relationship this way has been an amazing outcome from the pandemic. So,
Exactly.
and in general, I think that, yeah, the pandemic in the big scope of it all has been terrible, right? Not just
Of
in terms
course.
of
I'm not saying that
illnesses and
right
deaths
now.
and that kind of stuff, but in the barbering community and the hair community, it's like shut down businesses. Businesses have had to shut down permanently. I closed one of my two locations, which I haven't disclosed on social media or anything like that because there's no need to. But, I did that out of necessity to trim fat off the financial budget, right? Anything that I had to do to allow myself to stay above ground financially during the pandemic. Unfortunately, I got some relief money from the government programs that they put out. I had my savings. So on from a financial standpoint, I'm one of the few that were blessed to not stress out at all during the pandemic of anything, right? It was just like I can just be patient and wait for us to reopen and do what I have to do, still stay diligent on my Instagram and still promote positivity and that kind of stuff, you know. Work on some other stuff around, you know, my little house here, my little apartment, you know. And now that I got a brand new hip, you know, I have a hip replacement. Now I can actually get out during the downtime and explore. And I never had that kind of as a hobby, right? So I get to go hiking and see what that's all about.
Yeah, man.
And those are the kind of things that cost nothing to get outside,
Exactly. Yeah.
to get away, take a walk, go grab a cup of coffee, make a cup of coffee and take it to the park and drink it. Like there's so much out there that we can try, you know, but we have to make the decision for ourselves to say, like, I'm going to fight the negativity. I'm going to fight the depression. I'm going to fight the sadness, but staying like idle, staying like in one place for too long and being allowed to overthink things and things that are completely out of our control, out of our human control. Nothing we can do to reopen. We have to just wait, right? We can do our part to wear the masks and all that kind of stuff, but like to worry about things out of our control, it just drives that negativity within us. And then we start thinking about other things out of control, you know.
Yeah.
You know, think like I'm not working, and then you like if you're single, and now I got no girlfriend, and then you're like, oh, you know, I got my bills piling, and then just every the layers of things you worry about start piling up. It does no good. That's no good to us.
You have to learn to accept things how they are, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
I've always you need to stay focused on that, right? Okay, you
yeah,
cannot do social contacts, you cannot do this,
yeah,
but what can you do during
yeah,
this
yeah,
pandemic and the situation that you
yeah,
have? You have to
yeah,
work with the situation as they are. So that's the only thing and tip that I can give to people. It's just like
yeah,
work on yourself and work with
yeah,
the people that you want in your inner circle, right? And if
yeah,
you have to make phone calls, hey, that's good, right? That's also
yeah,
social contact, man. I don't have to
yeah,
touch somebody, to have social contact, but just ring a friend or somebody. Hey, how is you
yeah,
doing, man? Are you okay? Do you need anything or whatever, right? And if you, because there's a lot of people they say they're an entrepreneur or
right, 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 right,
a
right.
business owner or this and that.
Yeah,
If you are a business owner,
yeah,
you should
yeah,
always counter in negative things.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I agree with everybody. This is a really negative thing, because
yeah, yeah,
businesses are
yeah, yeah,
closed and all that kind of stuff. And that's not
yeah,
cool at all. But
right,
what you do, what I do, I always save money. I learned that
yeah,
because back in the day,
yeah.
I didn't do that, I didn't have no
Yeah, I
shit,
know. I've been caught before. I've been caught in the last recession, and I had nothing.
No,
I was yeah. So I was like, I'll never let that experience catch me again off guard. So since then, all I've done was prepare for another recession, right?
exactly.
So
And I think
um,
like there are certain things you can do things about it and certain things you can't. This pandemic, you cannot do anything. You
yeah,
can't complain, you can do
yeah,
anything, you can put
yeah,
stupid stuff on Instagram, you can post all
yeah,
the articles, about
yeah,
governments and conspiracy theories
yeah,
and
yeah,
does
yeah,
it
yeah,
help your situation? No, it
yeah,
doesn't. It
yeah,
only bothers you more with negativity,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I always say, like, I don't watch news for 15 years, man. I don't read
yeah,
no papers, man, because it's
yeah,
only words and things from people that they want to hear and want to let you know.
yeah,
But is it important? You know, I don't really care about what other people do in China or anything because I'm not having contact with them anyways. With people,
yeah,
where I have personal contact with you or whatever, I like to
yeah,
know how it is in the town or with your family or
yeah.
whatever. Those are important things and not what other governments do or whatnot.
Yeah, I think it's important to having to follow up on that. Like it's important then to rather than have other people control a lot of what we do, is it's important for us to take control of what we can control, like our own lives. We can control our mental attitude. We can control our approach to what we're going to do next. Like if you're closed and you can use the downtime to sit at your desk or at a table or go to a park and do this where it's nice and sunny, get a pencil and a pad and write down a list, man. Write down a list of things that you would change so that if this was to happen again 5 years down the line, how would you be better prepared, right? What can you do now and work on to make sure that you don't get caught like this again with no savings, with no plan in place, right? You can write down like, okay, my goals of that, I want to make sure that within a year from barbering, when I get back to work, I'm going to save up this much money, right? I'm going to have at least by the next year, I'll have saved up $5,000, for
Yep.
example, right? By the next year, I will have figured out a place where I can move to a cheaper rent. How can I get rid of the fancy car payment that I got for the fancy car, right? You can look at all the things at your budget and say, as a barber, like, do I really need these things? Were these things out of necessity, or
Mm.
were these things out of like, I got the money, I can kind of show off, and I'm living a good life, right?
Yep.
That we can take control of. And I think if we use this time wisely now, and I mean, I've been fortunate to do this since I became a barber after that first recession. All I've done since that first recession to now is plan how to not get caught again
Yeah.
in that brokenness and that sadness and depression from back then. So these things that I've done and these things that we're sharing now is like, if you do these things now, it doesn't matter how long you've been a barber, but if you start now, because if you didn't have a plan, like now is the best time to start these things
It
and
is.
forecasting. How can I be a better version of myself as a barber? What can I do better when I get back? How can I show a great appreciation for my clients when I get back? Can I talk to them more, give them better service? Can I give them a better greeting when they leave my chair? Can I tell them that I appreciate you very much and thank you as I've missed you? Thank you for coming back in. Like all these little things that can even help you strengthen and build the relationship to build your clientele are important to think about, right? So I would be very disappointed if there are barbers out there that watch this that have gone through the pandemic and they don't come out of the pandemic stronger than they and better version of themselves as a person or as a barber before the pandemic. There's a lot to be learned and still a lot to be gained
Yeah,
if we're
man.
prepared for the reopening.
And and that's the thing, right? I don't. There's a lot of people that ask me, "Hey, do you cut at home?" I don't cut at home at
Hmm.
all.
Yeah.
Why? Because not a lot of people know that, but in the beginning of my shop, I
Mhm.
had
Yeah.
serious problems because there were some snitches.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They they didn't agree that I had my own shop, and
Yeah.
I had jealousy or envy,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That cost me one guy, that works for me, Remy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had
Yeah.
to go
Yeah. Yeah.
back, to Germany because he wasn't allowed to work here in Holland because he's married and his wife, should have
Yeah. Yeah.
been working here. But there's whole sorts of shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm under a loop, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays, when they caught you for cutting at home, cost me 4K, right? So that's four
Ooh.
thousand euros. That that's not the risco kind of that I want to
Yeah.
walk into, and then
Yeah.
I my shop, and then I got a huge amount of debt,
Yeah.
and that's not cool. I'd
Yeah.
rather sit
Yeah.
with nothing at home and do
Yeah.
things legally
Yeah.
and then illegally, because the thing
Yeah.
is, the 33 or the $35 haircut of a euro haircut
Yeah.
is nothing to compare with my life for the shop and what I did for the
Yeah.
shop, for the people,
Yeah.
and to make this shop for
Yeah.
me and the people, right?
Yeah.
And if there's nothing more important than healthy life, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, like I said, just because of the savings, I could manage this a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And I had some government money and everything, but me and my wife, we just arranged a lot of things, just to get it right.
Yeah.
Take
Yeah.
all the things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I went to my accountant, just asked them, what to do, how to do, and this and that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's also really important. You need to have like a good booker or a good accountant, that knows numbers
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
knows what you can
Yeah.
get to survive
Yeah.
or to do better or whatever. And I'm just fortunate, but I also work for that,
Yeah.
and want to have the
Yeah.
knowledge to know those things, right? And
Yeah.
I just I love my customers and everything, but I won't do the risk just for cutting hair just because they look better,
Yeah. No, I don't think it's. No, I mean
hair
it's.
grows, right?
I don't do it at home. I wouldn't do a house call at home because one, I don't want people in my home. This is my space, right? This is where I
Mm.
go after the shop. This is where I relax, and this is where I want to go. Plus, I can barely do a good haircut in a shop, let alone have them come sit in a kitchen chair and try to do that. Like, come on, man. I ain't got no mirror. I ain't got no light. Shoot. I barely get it right when I do have that stuff. You come into my house, shit tripping.
Yeah, man.
But I'll tell you this though, bro. Like I'll tell you this, I'm 50 now. When I was in my 30s, I was very much someone that would get caught up in like the world is falling down around me, it's crumbling, I have no control, I worry, I'll be so anxious, like the world is against me, God is against me. Like I was that of that mindset in my younger years, right?
Mm-mm.
But since then I've gone through so much ups and downs in life, relationships, business, being unemployed for over a year, even back then, all these different things that I realize now that those days I was worrying about things that were out of my control. There was no, and I lost a lot of good years being the type of person to blame others for the things that I wasn't prepared for. Right?
Same here,
I should
man.
have been prepared financially. I should have been prepared mentally. I should have been prepared
Mm.
spiritually. And so, like, I look back at my 30s and even my 20s, when my younger years, like, man, I wasted good years on just sitting there in my room worrying and tripping and like my life is falling apart, my life is crumbling, and at 50 I've survived 100% of the worst that life has thrown at me so far. So I mean, this pandemic, I'm knock on wood, I'm healthy and all this kind of stuff, but like I know that I've been through enough struggles, we all have in our lives, to know that we can get through this struggle as well.
Yep.
We just have to look back in our lives and say like, oh man, I've been through worse. I went through a divorce. I went through, all this
Yeah,
other
man.
stuff. I can get through this pandemic. I just got to find the right spirit, stay positive.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can cut hair anywhere. I don't need a shop for that, right?
Yeah.
And that's my mentality, right? It's if I needed to close the shop down, right?
Yeah.
I can make a chair and put it in a park and
Yeah.
say like, hey, yo, hey, you can cut over here, man. It doesn't matter anyways. I can do that. I
Yeah.
will
No.
find my
Yeah.
way. It's sad,
Yeah.
when I need to close down the shop, that I lose the guys, But hey,
Yeah.
man, that's life, man.
Life will
But
continue. Yeah.
I'm the one, that controls my life. I don't. I'm not feeling independent of my employers or anything. No, man. I built my shop that I could run this shop by myself, and everything that
Yeah.
comes along with it, that was extra. And I wanted to
Yeah.
give opportunities for other people as
Yeah. Same
well.
here.
Because there's not a lot of people they want to do those things for other people, and I don't need to get rich of it, not at all. That's the last thing that I think about. But what I do
Well,
like, and what I do know is that, like, hey, man, if you give somebody something, later on in your life, you will get it back, man. You will get fucked
yeah.
in your life as well, pretty
Yeah.
hard. But hey, man, there's
Yeah.
nothing better, when somebody says to you, like, hey, man, thank you a lot for those 2 years, that I worked for you, and
Yeah.
bless, man. I learned from a lot
Yeah.
from you, and not only by cutting, but also of life, right? And
Hey, if my shop closes down because of this pandemic stuff and I have to close my doors, I'm just going to apply at another barber shop. I just tell them, like, hey, man, my haircuts aren't that great, but I bring a lot of positivity, man. You need
yeah,
someone in the shop that brings positivity?
I
I'm
will be
your
that
guy,
clown.
man. I'm that guy, man. Let me be the greeter. Let me sit in the front so I greet everybody, man.
Just be those guys at Walmart, the greeter, like, hey, man, hey, you can't walk.
So I had a client yesterday that came in. He does very well for himself in the realm of like tech stuff. And when the pandemic first happened, he was kind enough, as many of my clients did, was reach out and say like, "Hey, I'd like to send you some money.
Yeah.
How can I get that
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you?"
yeah.
And I responded like, "Hey, I'm so grateful for that gesture, but like, I don't need the money. Um, I just your thought of doing that is more than enough for me,
Yeah.
right? And the business will survive. We'll find a way to get through it. But I just appreciate that you would even think that, right?
Yeah.
So he sat with me yesterday and he was like, "Hey, Mark, can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What motivates you, happiness or money?" Because I remember when I wanted to offer you to help you and send you some money, I was so shocked that you were like, "Oh no, brother, it's okay. Thank you, but it's okay." And in my life, it's very rare that you find people that would say no to that. And I said, well, happiness is definitely my driver as a barber,
Yeah.
to be able to see people, talk to people, build relationships. The money comes, the money goes, but like it's what's more important to me is what I developed through the friendship. And so, I think if we, as long as we keep that mental state as barbers to say like, as long as you try to remain positive, your customers will stay positive. If you project on social media that you're positive and you're getting through it as best you can, they'll be the first ones in line when you reopen to come and support you in any way that they can, right? And be generous. They'll be generous in that regard
Yeah,
as
man.
well. So yeah, use this time wisely in this pandemic, man. Like for everybody that's out there, I know it's easier just to go and rant on social media about what we can't control, but like I think people that follow you would be more than happy to see how you're positively handling it. They'd rather see you out there hiking and doing something positive with your time.
It is, man.
They'd like to see you at a coffee shop drinking coffee or, reading a book, that kind of stuff. So project out there the love, spread that aloha, share that with everybody else.
Yeah, man.
You'll feel better about yourself and the situation, and guarantee, I promise you that the people that are following you, especially your customers, when the time comes to reopen, they'll be there to help get you back on your feet.
For sure, man. For sure, man. And you will see, who are your regulars and your patrons that are really loyal
Yeah,
to you.
yeah,
And I got some
yeah,
customers. They send me money, and I'm really thankful for that. They
yeah,
I
yeah,
sold some products and
yeah,
everything. It was
yeah,
not a lot, but
yeah, yeah,
every
yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
man.
helps,
It's
man. And
it's
that's what
it's
makes
yeah,
me so proud of them. And
yeah,
this is where
yeah,
we work for together, and they will
yeah,
get something back from me as well.
yeah, yeah,
It's all
yeah,
everything that I build up.
yeah,
It's about giving and taking.
yeah,
That's been
yeah.
in my family for years, man.
That's barbering
Grandma,
though. That's
grandma, grandpa,
relationships. Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't matter which
yep,
side it was. They always said
yep,
like give respect, get respect, man.
yeah,
It's a giving and taking, and
yeah,
this is something how I run my business as well. And with that kind of thing, um, if you're driven money wise and you succeed, that's also good. But this is not my
yeah,
attitude, and I
yeah,
hope for everybody that's out there, find your purpose and see
yeah,
what's good for you.
yeah.
I think if you have that and positivity, man, as long as you,
Sky's the
yeah,
limit.
man, sky's the
Sky's the
limit,
limit.
man.
I bet.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Thank you for the love and for the talk, man. I think
Yeah, brother, it
a
was
lot of
good, man.
people,
Anybody out there,
yeah.
even though I said all that stuff, I got my own little GoFundMe page if you want to. Go ahead, just share that link at the bottom. I mean, the worst advice. Give all that advice. Well, since you are, whoever's still watching this episode, I got click the link in my bio.
Oh, shit, man.
I gotta end on a positive note, man. I gotta end on a positive note. Yeah, I appreciate you, bro. Hang tough out
You
there,
too,
man.
man. Hope to see you soon.
So,
Love, peace, and
yeah, man.
happiness.
Love you guys. Thank you, everybody.